Hwan had always felt like someone was watching over her, not in a creepy, lurking in the shadows way, but in a way that made her feel safe, even in her darkest moments. At first, she thought it was just mere coincidence, how she narrowly avoided accidents, how warmth seemed to wrap around her when she felt alone. But then, she started seeing him. A man with moonlit dark eyes that held galaxies and a presence that was both terrifying and mesmerizing. He never spoke, only watched from a distance, always disappearing before Hwan could approach. But one fateful night, under a sky filled with stars, everything changed. Hwan stood at the edge of the city bridge, the night breeze whipping through her hair as she gazed at the water below. The weight of life had never felt heavier, and for the first time, she considered letting it all go. Just as she took a trembling step forward, an arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her back with undeniable force. "Not tonight," a deep voice murmured against her ear. Hwan gasped, spinning around, only to be met with the very man she had seen countless times before. Up close, he was breathtaking, with sharp features, midnight black hair, and a presence that was graced with something unearthly. But there was something else. His eyes, once golden in the faint streetlights, now flickered with crimson fire. "Who are you?" Hwan whispered, her voice drifting away softly over the wind. The man exhaled slowly as if debating on how much to reveal. "I am Jungkook," he finally said. "And I was once your guardian angel." Hwan didn't know what was crazier, the fact that angels existed or that her own guardian angel had just admitted to being once. They both sat together in a quiet, empty park, the sounds of the city a distant hum. Jungkook sat beside her, watching her carefully, as if expecting her to run. "What do you mean once?" Hwan asked after a long silence. Jungkook sighed, looking up at the sky. "I broke the rules," he admitted. "Guardian angels are meant to protect, not interfere. But I felt something for you. Something I wasn't supposed to." Hwan's breath hitched. "And what happened?" Jungkook gave her a sad smile. "I fell. They stripped me of my wings, my place in the celestial realm. In exchange, I was given a choice." He turned to meet their gaze, something raw and vulnerable in his eyes. "To stay in this world, I had to give up my celestial essence, my immortality." The words sent a shiver down Hwan's spine. Someone had given up paradise, eternity. For her, it didn't make sense. "Why?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Why would you do that?" Jungkook gave a small chuckle, running a hand through his hair. "Because love doesn't make sense, does it?" Hwan stared at him, heart pounding. Love? She barely knew him, at least she thought she didn't. But the way he looked at her, the way he had been there through every unseen moment, watching, protecting, it felt like fate had woven them together long before they ever realized it. "But what happens now?" Hwan finally asked, voice small. Jungkook's gaze softened as he looked at Hwan, his crimson-flecked eyes holding a mixture of longing and yearning. "Now," he said, his voice low and steady, "I'm here, like a human as you are. But that doesn't mean I've stopped caring. I'll still protect you, even if it's not from the shadows anymore." Hwan's mind raced, trying to process everything. A fallen angel, a celestial being who had given up everything for her. It felt like something out of a dream, or maybe a fairy tale. But the warmth of his hand resting on hers, the way his presence still felt so grounding, so real, made it impossible to dismiss. "But why me?" Hwan asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Out of all the people in the world, why did you choose me?" Jungkook's lips curved into a faint smile, though his eyes remained heavy with emotion. "It wasn't a choice," he said. "Not really. From the moment I was assigned to you, I felt it, a pull, a connection. At first, I thought it was just my duty. But the more I watched over you, the more I saw your strength, your kindness, your light. I couldn't stay detached. I couldn't just watch from afar anymore." Hwayeon's chest tightened, her heart aching with a strange mix of guilt and gratitude. "But you lost everything because of me," she said, her voice breaking. "Your wings, your home. How can I ever make that right?" Jungkook shook his head, his hand tightening around hers. "You don't have to make it right," he said firmly. "This was my choice. And if I had to do it all over again, I would. I don't regret it, Hwayeon. Not for a second." The sincerity in his voice was overwhelming, and Hwayeon felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. She looked away, staring at the ground as she tried to steady her breathing. "What happens now?" Hwayeon asked again, her voice trembling. "You're human now. What does that mean for you? For us?" Jungkook hesitated, his thumb brushing gently over the back of her hand. "It means I'm here," he said. "Not as a guardian, but as someone who cares about you. Someone who wants to be by your side if you'll let me." Hwayeon's heart skipped a beat. She turned to look at him, her eyes searching his for any hint of doubt or hesitation. But all they saw was honesty, vulnerability, and something deeper, something that made her chest ache in the best possible way. "I don't know if I deserve this," Hwayeon admitted, her voice barely audible. "I don't know if I deserve you." Jungkook's expression softened, and he reached up to gently brush a tear from their cheek. "You don't have to deserve me," he said. "This isn't about deserving. It's about us. About what we could be if you're willing to take that chance." The air between them felt charged, electric, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Hwayeon's mind was a whirlwind of emotions: fear, hope, disbelief, and something else she couldn't quite name. But one thing was clear: Jungkook had given up everything for her. And maybe, just maybe, she owed it to herself and to him to see where this could go. "Okay," Hwayeon whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. "Okay, let's see where this goes." Jungkook's face lit up with a smile, one that reached his eyes and made them sparkle like the stars above. He leaned in, resting his forehead against hers, and for a moment, the world seemed to fade away. It was just the two of them, under the vast, endless sky, with the weight of the past and the promise of the future hanging between them. "Thank you," Jungkook murmured, his breath warm against her skin, "for giving me a chance." Hwayeon closed her eyes, letting herself lean into him, into the warmth and safety he had always provided, even when she hadn't known he was there. "Thank you," she whispered back, "for choosing me,